Well, it is Tuesday night, and that means it's time for another Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. This is season 2, episode 2. I'm your host with the most time in his hands. Joining me today, this time directly beside me, is Big Billy FF, staying up top here, and down below is our mafioso himself, our paisan, Jakob Sanderson, looking dapper, fresh, clean, almost like you're out there laying down the law. Just
look, man, all of a sudden, I'm out here on the West Coast, right? And I'm at the office till 5 all of a sudden, and gotta get back on the SkyTrain, back to my apartment, do these shows. I don't have time to get changed anymore. So all of a sudden I come on here wearing business clothes with my hair all combed instead of usual disheveled look with my hoodie and my backwards cap. It's going to be a big change here for the season 2 of the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast.
You got to go with the Superman move and just like wear the hoodie under your button up.
Well, you see, he didn't have time to change into his crypto gear, so he had to stay in lawyer mode. So,
You're stuck in his crypto now.
My crypto gear, yeah. I was thinking, I need to order one of those zip up Patagonia vests.
Yes,
that all the day traders have.
Please do.
Patagonia.
And a sombrero for some reason. Look, this is Tuesday night. Look, if you missed the walkabout, we returned Saturday. You're going to want to go and listen to that episode. We were joined by Big Billy here, and we went through everything from true values, why to never trade a first for Mike Williams, a whole bunch of stuff we talked about. Go and check that out now. As for today, look, it's the start of the offseason, and your championship games are over. But what is important is to supply your league with a reason to win. And if you haven't already, you need to go to Trophy Smack. And when going to Trophy Smack, you need to use the promo code TIPPLE, TIPPLE. That is nipple with a T, right? So you want to use that promo code TIPPLE, get yourself a trophy. If you do that, you put a ring, you put it in the cart, hit the button, you get a $60 value ring for free. So get that done, and you need to do that. Today, we're also lucky enough to give a nice shout out to the Even Odds podcast. Now, this is a sports trivia podcast. Their latest episode is up right now. They had 2 great guests, right? That's Emily Nyman and John Snyder of the Breaking Balls podcast. Fantastic. It was a baseball trivia. I went and I checked them out, and they're just absolutely fantastic. And you definitely need to go and check them out. And don't worry, your boys here. We're trying to work it out for us to make an appearance. As you know, we won't have one this week, which is actually kind of funny. But as you know, we have our own trivia game here with Billy's Stat Corner. But look, we're gonna chomp the.
I think we should rename it Michelob Ultra Stat Corner. Here we got. Billy's out here sipping the Michelobes on the show.
I think
is this part of your 2022 dieting regime, the Michelobes?
Yeah, it's the athlete's choice. I need to handle it if I'm going to get through this Texas Tech game.
Look,
what's the score right now, buddy?
18-7, Texas Tech.
Look, there's
college basketball, not a lot of scoring involved.
No, gosh, no. Look, they're a trivia game show podcast for sports degenerates. They fit our brand, right? And we can't wait to mix it up with them. You need to go and check them out. Give them a like, a subscribe, a share, leave a comment. Let them know what is up, because we are a fan of trivia as well.
Absolutely.
Look, moving on to the program today. What an insane week of official coaching hires, other coaching news, which we are going to get into a little bit. Look, as you know, we do not give 2 halves of a fuck about your political opinions. We care about football news. Today, this football news seems a little bit bigger than times past.
Yeah.
We're going to drop a little convo on the Flores news. We're not going to hit it too hard there. We're going to take a quick second. We're going to catch our breath, let you guys get a break from our voices here early on. And when we come back, we're going to get into the real meat of the episode here. So sit tight. Look, obviously, a lot of people dunk on a lot of other people on Twitter, and there was no person I feel like this week that got dunked on harder than Schefter himself for doing his job and putting out one of the biggest breaking news stories in sports history.
Well,
being
Dr.
correct.
Jesse Morse gave him a run for his money by talking about
don't even-
Mahomes
I
not
can't-
getting
we're
it
not-
done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a rough.
We are not. We're not giving Doc WebMD more advertising than necessary. Look, Tom Brady retiring is huge. Obviously, since for as long as I can remember, Tom Brady's been in the NFL, right? Brady, Billy, I don't know if you know this, but Brady.
I was waiting on it.
I
was waiting on it.
Prior to 2017.
Get him out.
As a 6th round pick. And obviously he's crushed all of our hearts, except maybe Billy. I don't know if there was a Tom Brady Packers moment that really stands out to me. I don't think there was. You didn't have any playoff heartbreaks that Jacob and I had to suffer.
I do remember a Sunday night game that Scott Tolzien played in, I think, in New England.
Yeah.
And the Packers almost won, but Brady made a big comeback at the end. But that was before Billy started watching football. So
yeah, to give you all more fodder for this, my first fantasy year, it was the first time I realized that actually Tom Brady is part of the reason why I realized I love fantasy football so much. Is my first fantasy year was I was playing Josh Gordon. Like I need Josh Gordon to do well, and he was on the Patriots at the time.
Not the GOAT year, not the GOAT year.
And he ran like a 50-yard touchdown. It was one of Brady's milestone touchdowns
against Green Bay,
against the Packers. And I was standing in my best buddy's living room going, "Fuck yeah!" Because he just won me a week.
See, and I had the exact opposite reaction. I was playing. Man, I forget who I was up against in the home league. I think it might have been Austin. It was definitely like one of the people I was close with. It was either like Austin or Brad or Andrew, like one of those guys. And I had Devontae Adams. This was like my redraft league.
Yeah.
And I had Devontae Adams and James White. And the other person only had Josh Gordon. And I remember like I took the lead because I needed a whole bunch going in. And I took the lead. And I just remember thinking like, man, that was the hard part. Like James White had a touchdown like the first drive. Devontae had a touchdown. And I was like, the only thing that can ruin me is like a Josh Gordon 50-yard bomb. And then immediately Josh Gordon got a 50-yard bomb. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I do remember that. Yeah.
So with Brady playing so long in the NFL, I just want to ask, what is your favorite Tom Brady moment? And we're a fantasy podcast, but this is kind of a special thing. Just your favorite Tom Brady moment, fantasy, real life. What was your favorite moment for Brady?
It's less football related. I mean, obviously it's football related. It's Tom Brady, but I'm forever gonna laugh about the tossing the Lombardi Trophy between the boats.
I am not joking. That was mine.
Like it is so flippant. There is very little irony, or like there's a very few less symbolic moment or more symbolic moments. God, I'm struggling. More symbolic moments than Tom Brady tossing the Lombardi Trophy like it's nothing. That is so flippin' funny. Like that was
robot.
Yeah,
the guy being hammered at the parade, tossing the Lombardi Trophy.
Oh, Gabbert carrying him out.
Oh, just amazing.
Yeah,
Jacob, what's your favorite Brady moment?
Yeah, man. Like I tried hard to come up with one, and that was, I mean, what you guys mentioned is like definitely the most I've ever liked Brady because. I mean, I grew up a Colts fan. I hated Tom Brady for like the vast majority of his career. Like whenever Tom Brady was doing well, which was almost always, it was coming at our expense. So like when I think of legendary Tom Brady victories, I mean, my favorite Tom Brady moment is Marlon Jackson picking his ass off in the 2006 AFC Championship game. So that's my favorite Brady moment. That's like, I think the only time I've ever been happy at the end of a Brady playoff game. But I really enjoyed him going to Tampa Bay. Like, it was the first time I ever rooted for Brady. It kind of reminded me of when Tiger Woods won the Masters the last time. Yes. And like when I was growing up, like I was never rooting for Tiger because he was always winning. And I'd always see him dueling someone and I was always rooting for the other guy and Tiger usually won. And then, when he became the underdog, like after he had the scandal and he had the big comeback and all the knee surgeries and then rooting for him, it was like, man, this is like really fun to like root for greatness. And I've just really enjoyed Tom Brady the last 2 years. even his last couple of years in the Patriots, like once Luck retired, like, and the Colts stopped being really a legitimate rival for them, like once that pain element was gone, like it was just really fun. I wish that we had gotten another year. I really enjoyed watching this old version of Brady just still be freaking awesome at 44 years old. I wanted to see how long he could do it. But like, it's pretty darn cool that, you know, you look at how Peyton retired. I mean, epic that he went out winning a Super Bowl, even though he sucked. But like, you look at how he looked at the end, you know, you look at how like Roethlisberger looked this year, you know, you think about other greats. It's pretty awesome that Tom Brady left, possibly, you know, like winning the MVP. Like he has a claim to have been the best quarterback in the NFL this year at 44. And now he goes out on top. It's pretty darn cool.
It's insane.
Amazing. And I saw this. He was the only quarterback to rank number 1 overall by Pro Football Focus the year he left the league. Like everyone else was like, Breeze was like 18th, Eli 17th, Roethlisberger 30, right? Like everyone else, and Peyton down there as well.
Yeah, he was 28.
And then he was number 1. So pretty amazing.
Peyton basically Garoppolo'd himself to the Super Bowl the last year. Like he got like carried by DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller.
And
I think that's giving Garoppolo too little credit. That Peyton year was awful.
Garoppolo didn't get Osweiler halfway through the year. My favorite Tom Brady moment.
Sorry,
it's not on the football field, right? It's my favorite Tom Brady moment comes in conversations. He's done so many interviews and round tables and shows and podcasts. He has his own. My favorite Tom Brady moment ever also came more recently. Yeah, it's recency bias a lot on this show here, but he came in a conversation where he outright explained that he lies to his opponents. When he says, no, you're great. You know, they have a lot of great players over there. You know, this player, he's really awesome. He's really great. And he turns, he's like, I'm going to fucking destroy that guy. And he said it openly in an interview. It's like, every time I say that a player is good and like, we really got to work hard, I know that guy fucking sucks. That's his words. He fucking sucks. And I'm going to destroy him all game. And just him being as open and honest and as a cutthroat killer that he is on the field, that we know that he is, but he's saying it because he felt like he grew a personality the minute he left New England.
I know. I wish that we got that the whole time, right?
Yeah,
I know.
He was so fun the last 2 years. I wish that he wasn't like stuck in New England.
Well, we covered what's happened to Mac Jones already. Like we covered that on an earlier episode where he in training camp, he's like laughing, happy, super fun, great time. And then his latest thing is like, we really just got to try hard, 110%. It's a team effort. You know, it's got check time.
Yeah, they turned you into
and
a
he's just like,
player,
100%.
It's funny. I feel like if you took Brady's current personality and put it in a 23-year-old, it would be Joe Burrow.
Yeah. You know what? 100%. Well,
this isn't a specific memory, but
Joe Burrow here.
I was just gonna say, like, another thing I obviously loved with Brady, even when I was hating him, like watching him enter in like New England home games when he would come through, and you could just tell he was charged up like an absolute lunatic. And like normally, you know, you see linebackers come in and do crazy stuff. You see like John Henderson getting slapped, you know, defensive tackle.
Brian Dawkins.
I just don't know any other quarterback who ever entered the field like Brady would. Like he came out like an absolute raging Looney Tune. He was just screaming at people. He's like fist pumping, and
we never
saw anybody else do that. I loved how amped he would get. It was awesome.
He always did it to the one part of the field, but him and like he would jog around the field like he was with his backups, right? Including Garoppolo back in the day. And he would always do the running like fist pump to that part of the stadium. And they never showed it on camera really during games. Mm-hmm. But then they've shown videos of like him and Edelman doing it, right? And whatever else. It's just, it's sad to see Brady go. I wanted one more year. I didn't think I'd feel that way. It'll be the first time since 1998 the quarterback not named Manning or Brady will be in the NFL. That's pretty insane to think of that longevity between the families. Not too long before we see another Manning go number 1 overall in the NFL, though. That one's
And of those 24 years, there was a Manning or a Brady in like 13 of those Super Bowls and probably
I saw
28
really
of the championship games.
It's like without Manning, Brady, Roethlisberger, or the 49ers, it's like this is one of the first Super Bowls in 15 years or something stupid like that. That one of those guys, haven't been in
Crazy.
Look, let's I know last week we talked a lot about coaches, so we're not going to dive too deep into that. We had speculation. Some of them came true. Some of them we kind of came out of left field here. I want to talk about the most important one to me. And it's not Hackett to Denver. It's not Dabble to the Giants. It's actually Josh McDaniels to the Raiders. I like this move for them. It has major fantasy implications if you ask me. I didn't trust Mac Jones before. Now I really don't trust Mac Jones because Josh McDaniels' system was perfect for him. It was perfect for him. It was your quintessential pocket passing, safe offense, check it down. They didn't ask him to do too much. And now you're getting a quarterback with different offensive coordinators, right? And we don't know how this will be his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. We don't know how all quarterbacks react and respond to these things. Obviously, Mac Jones picked up McDaniels very easily, and that's a complex system, right? From everything we're told, but how it impacts New England will be interesting. But the impact it has for Billy's main man, Hunter Renfrow, is he's get ready for Wes Welker.
I'm going to become insufferable.
More insufferable than you already are. And
Thanks,
obviously for Darren Waller. Right? I think Darren Waller plays a huge part because he's going to take the Gronk role that McDaniels and the Hunter Henry role, but obviously Darren Waller is a better player. This is for Hunter Renfrow, and the person I don't like this for is Josh Jacobs because Josh McDaniels notoriously uses a pass catching down running back. You were kind of hoping that the next head coach would use Josh Jacobs a little more the way some very dedicated fans on the Bird app would like him to be. So, guys, how do you feel Josh McDaniels is going to fit in here? I also like this for Derek Carr. I'll mention that. So, guys, how are we feeling about the fantasy implications from both sides on this? Jacob, I'll start with you.
Well, it's a good fit for the offense, like you said. I mean, the McDaniels offense for years has been an inside-out offense, right? The slot receiver, pass-catching running back, the tight end. I mean, that's what we've seen a lot over the years of the Hernandez, the Gronk, the Edelman, the Welker, the James White. That's where a lot of the fantasy value is. And then you look at Vegas, and that's kind of already how their offense runs. So it makes a lot of sense. With Jacobs, it's interesting. I went and looked in Denver, right? Because New England has been using this running back system really for as long as I can remember that predates McDaniels, and it continued when he wasn't there. And so I kind of thought, okay, how much of this narrative of, you have the 2 to 3 backs, and everybody has their distinct role. How much of that is actually a Josh McDaniels thing versus how much of that is a Belichick thing or a Brady thing? Because it's kind of hard to separate. And I went and looked at his 2 years in Denver, and we saw, to the chagrin of what you'd hope for, I think if you're a Josh Jacobs fan, so we saw Noshawn Moreno as the clear early down back. Correll Buckhalter actually had more catches than him over that 2-year stretch. And I mean, Corell Buckhalter is not like he's a total jag. So
is Marino.
I definitely,
Sean Marino.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Jalen Richard. I don't know if it's going to be Kenyon Drake. But I do expect that the Raiders will use that smaller, quick twitch style third down back. Like a Buckhalter, like a James White, like a Kevin Falk, somebody in that mold. I do expect to see that. The only offense really where we didn't see that in the running game was when he had Todd Gurley for that 1 year with the Rams, and nothing really happened there. I mean, that whole offense sucked, and he got fired after like 1 year. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I expect to see a bit of a split, but it'll be interesting.
Billy doesn't remember that, so can you explain?
I don't think Josh McDaniels was on the Rams with Todd Gurley.
Was he not with Todd Gurley? Was he there for the Trey Mason year?
I think he was there before. I think that was like.
He might have been there for the Trey Mason year. Whatever year he was at the Rams.
I'll effort that. I don't have much to say about Josh McDaniels, so you can keep going.
He was with the Rams for 1 year, and their offense sucked. I don't know who the running back was.
Look, either way, I
looked at the Denver stats. I have not looked at the Rams stats.
I just want to get this out of the way right now. Josh McDaniels is not going to unlock, Brian Edwards. So don't.
No, he's not.
I know, and I know it. I can see it happening. He's gonna be Nelson Aguilar. He's gonna be
What?
no, he's not.
Are people excited about the N'Keal Harry role? I mean,
people.
the McDaniels offense has always been good for slot receivers and tight ends. Like
people will stand. You give Brian Edwards stands an inch, and they'll take a mile. It's just, this is their hope now. And stop it. He's gonna be the Randy Moss role. No, he's not. Billy?
Yeah, Brian Edwards is gone. Yeah, so it was 2011.
Come back.
It was 2011. He had Steven Jackson.
Did he still have? Was Jackson still on the Rams at that point?
He ran for 1,100 yards.
Well, Steven Jackson, man, he always did it. He always got
Shout
it
out one of Jacob and I's favorite running backs, Steven Jackson.
Yeah,
that was a go.
He also had Cadillac Williams.
Wow,
there's a name I have not heard in a long time. Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, it's the Josh McDaniels thing is weird because you want to hate on him, but look at his quarterbacks when he wasn't in New England. It was Tebow and Bradford.
Yeah, like I hate McDaniels the person. Like I think like he's like I hate the Patriots.
Appreciate you, Dustin.
He seems like a total tool. He like said that he was going to come to the Colts and then he reneged. So like I have several reasons. I think Josh McDaniels is a total tool.
Probably did you a favor by doing that.
Yeah. However, like I think he's a good coach. I really do. Like I've seen people clowning this hire. I wouldn't clown this hire. I think that McDaniels is a smart guy. I think he's a smart strategist. I think he's like annoying and full of himself, but frankly, a lot of NFL coaches are annoying and full of themselves. I don't think that necessarily makes you a bad coach. Like I think Kyle Shanahan's a complete tool. He's a great coach. Like
I think they're going to win plenty of games, but I don't know if they're going to be fun for fantasy.
Well, he's fucked in that division. Look, Dustin Ross comes into the chat as we always love and appreciate. McDaniel's main pull to coach the Raiders was to coach the picture-perfect Patriot. Now that is a sentence. Nicely done, Hunter Renfrow. We talked about Renfrow before.
My boy.
I just want to also mention, and I think I mentioned this on the walkabout, Billy. I can't remember, but this year there seems to be more of a veteran coaching hires than like the young upstart hot name. Now Mike McDaniels. Oh my God, Mike McDaniels is likely getting the Miami job, which obviously we all love that guy.
I love that one. He
seems to be a smart guy. He's going to be the young hire of the year. And we still don't know what Houston's doing. I'm not sure if they're trying to get calls into Cully's people to try to bring him back.
And Jacksonville is trying to schedule interviews with people that they missed the deadline on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the Kevin O'Connell thing?
Yeah, they didn't get it in
for anyone listening. You can't you can do second interviews with coaches on teams that are awaiting Super Bowl. However, if you didn't get the first interview done by a deadline, then you can't have a first interview now. Because they were going to hire Byron Leftwich, but they decided to choose Trent Baalke over him. Then they decided to try and go for O'Connell, but they missed the deadline. So now they can't interview him.
What a shit
they're interviewing a bunch of other people.
That's a problem.
Unbelievable. I think Leftwich could end up in Houston, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But they did just hire a GM, and Leftwich's whole thing is that he wants Adrian Wilson, former Arizona Cardinals safety, Billy, to join him where he goes. Used to love watching that guy just absolutely obliterate wide receivers and running backs. That's probably enough for the coaches, unless there's something you guys want to add on the hires. Yeah. I want to talk about. We're gonna do this now, so we have some positive stuff to talk about after. Brian Flores fucking debacle in the NFL. The back and forth refuted. These have no merit already, even though they were just filed to. Jacob, you're the resident lawyer here, the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. Obviously, everyone has kind of known that there's shystiness when it comes to, diversity in the NFL. Period. Hold on. Let me click this, Dustin. Not sure if you talked about it. Maybe this is a question for Statman Billy. Have we ever seen an interim head coach like Rich Bisaccia do so well and end up with nothing for this long? I think we have seen that before.
He was like the best interim head coach, right? Wasn't he the first one to go to take him to the playoffs?
I think so, and he had to deal with a giant shitstorm. Kind of amazing that I think maybe he ends up in Houston, honestly. But
Yeah, he's getting interviewed by them.
Yeah. Also, I'll shout out Romeo Cornell, who was constantly an interim head coach that never got to keep the job.
He got to keep it, and then he sucked. He got to keep it in Kansas City, and then he went like 2-14. Actually, the only comparable one I can think of who did a really good job as an interim head coach, took over a team that was 0-4, proceeded to go 5-7 for the rest of the season, add a 3-game win streak mixed into that.
That's Freddie
was Dan
Kitchens.
Campbell.
Oh,
and Dan Campbell
fair.
back in Miami. And of course, he did not get to keep that job, but then he ends up resurfacing with the Lions years later. I think we see something like that with Rich Bisaccia, where I bet he gets into a special teteams coordinator role somewhere. You probably get like an assistant head coach title.
Yeah.
And then maybe
he's going to be
considered
shot down
the road.
Years to come.
I bet. Honestly, if there's a player going, coach going to Houston, I think that might be it. Obviously, with the Brian Flores thing, we've known and heard about, and we've seen, and they put the Rooney Rule in, but it gets manipulated every year. This is the first time where I think somebody has slipped up enough, and this is obviously, of course, it's Belichick apparently with the text messages.
That's
apparently with Belichick, right? That's like the big one. Jakob, can you just spit facts? What is happening right now, and what do you think the implications are for everything?
Yeah. Well, first off,
obviously, I'm not going to put you on the hot spot. Like, what do you think the implications are for the entire?
I feel like I'm like the legal analyst at CNN right now. First off, I should be clear. Like, I probably read the least about this of honestly the three of us because I was working all day when this came out, and so I basically came straight on air. So I don't have like a legal take. I mean, at this point, we haven't seen any of the details of the lawsuit other than a few things that have been leaked, like the Belichick texts. We saw a few excerpts of different evidence that he brought in, like one of the interviews with the Denver Broncos. I mean, at this point, I don't think it's telling us anything that we don't kind of already know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the problem with any of these policies is that if the root cause is the bias, whether that's on the surface, whether that's intentional, or whether that's implicit. But if the root cause is the bias of owners and the racial bias, the only way to fix that ultimately is by having more diverse owners, because you're going to have a situation, pre-Rooney Rule, right? The Rooney Rule is supposed to help people have an opportunity. But I don't think it should shock anyone that has any knowledge of how the world works, that just because you give people an interview, that doesn't mean they're going to do anything about it, right? And you end up wasting so many of these coaches' time where they just go, and we've seen these different Rooney candidate head coaches. Remember like Terrell Austin for 2 years. It was like he interviewed for like 4 jobs a year. And, he was never seriously considered. We saw Eric Bieniemy, was interviewing for all these jobs, never seemed to get considered. Jim Caldwell's been interviewing for head coaching jobs forever. And it's like they just keep calling on these coaches, interviewing them and moving on. And, it's completely unfair. I mean, frankly, if you're not going to get who wants to put in the effort into a job interview for your dream job, when you're not even going to be seriously consideed.
These aren't 2-hour interviews.
You'd rather just not interview.
These are 9, 12,
and think about how much prep work goes into this.
Yeah.
Right. So I think definitely, the Rooney Rule was a well-meaning rule. I'm sure it'll continue on in some form, but I mean, there's obvious limitations to what it's able to do. And frankly, it's really hard at this point to justify, 32 head coaching jobs, 1 black head coach, when you look at the data on what type of record black head coaches end up getting dismissed with versus white head coaches end up getting dismissed with, and the base reality that 70% of the league's players are black, and 1 out of 32 are coaches are black. It's like it can't just be done on merit. There has to be some bias there, and I think there's people always jump when you come to bias of, okay, is the owner giving a command to their GM, don't hire a black guy? I highly doubt that that's the case in most instances. I think it's just a lot of people that implicitly are more likely to vibe and trust and want to hire people that look like them and relate to them. And that's just unfortunately how a lot of people act. And so, I think, how do you fix it? You end up either having more diverse owners, you have hiring decisions that end up at a systemic level, people go through diversity training, people have committees. But at the end of the day, these are private corps with one singular owner for most part, right? Other than the Green Bay Packers, where Billy's probably a part owner. But outside of the Packers, there's one owner and it's just one dude and he bought the team. And if 99% of the owners are rich old white dudes, unfortunately, they end up hiring a lot of rich old white dudes.
I think we don't just see this just in coaching, right? I've been very vocal about the hilarity of, really bad quarterbacks that look a certain way that get 14 years in the league to guys who look a certain other way that seem to be out of the league in 3 for when they're statistically pretty much the same. So I don't think it's a shock to see something like this. It's amazing that it's kind of the first time it's been so openly put out there. I feel like, Billy, I know you were pretty amped up to lead a discussion. So just your thoughts here.
It's like this whole situation is mind-boggling because, I mean, obviously, I always err on the side of caution when talking about stuff like this ahead of knowing everything. And there's a lot of stuff we already know, obviously, like Jakob said. 70% of players, 1 in 32 coaches. Obviously, we can look at that right now.
And that coach is arguably one of the best coaches of all time, by the way. That's Mike Tomlin. Shout out.
But like that, we can look at that all we want, and I think a lot of it comes down to the Rooney Rule it exists, and part of it also includes kind of a backup for these teams since they're supposed to log all the interactions they have with these coaches. So, and Denver came out right away. That was one of their first comments, was saying they have minutes from all these conversations, saying the interview went to full time. Like so I think a lot of it has to be flushed out. I think a lot of what he said has very, very serious implications for every team. Like Miami, I know this isn't pertaining as much to some of the other claims that he made, but the claims he made on Miami, that's horrible for parity in the league with the potential claims of bribing to
lose.
The loss bonus.
I saw that.
Like that's
that's like shoeless Joe Jackson right there.
Like, oh my God, Miami could face loss of draft picks, like forcing the owner to sell a team. Like it's not good.
Unprecedented for sure. And I know obviously there was all this stuff Miami when he was originally let go, it was about like a divide of ownership and players, and he wanted Watson and the team wanted Tua, and you know a lot's been made about that connection, and it was messy from the get-go. I just didn't expect it. I mean, we all thought he was going to Houston immediately once Cully got unceremoniously let go.
I thought he was going to Chicago.
Which another hot topic for Billy there. But we won't go there.
The Cully firing is fucking dumb. Anyway,
we won't go there today. But I think we hit the nail on the head there pretty good for the Flores stuff. It's just going to be interesting to watch. And it was good last year. I think was one of the first off seasons where the NFL didn't have big drama with a player being arrested or whatever. But it seems like right back to status quo in the NFL with players getting arrested for horrific things in Vegas, and then now this offseason starting off a little rocky.
It's going to be very interesting to see. I can't remember a single storyline that had such large implications for the rest of the league.
Yes. Yeah.
For a minute. Like, legitimately, there's 3 football teams that could be facing very serious, punishment from the NFL.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see 1,000%. Look, we're going to take a second.
It's like a mix of the Kaepernick suit, Bounty Gate almost.
I was going to say Kaepernick feels like the
loss bonuses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick second. We're going to decompress. When we come back, we are going to talk about the quarterback or potential quarterback carousel now that the coaching landscape is a little bit more settled. We're going to talk about a little bit of the offseason, how we like to handle the lull of the season before rookie scouting, and do some Super Bowl and way too early off-season predictions. So still a little bit to go. We're going to try to keep this tight to an hour as usual. We're going to do our best. So sit tight. We're going to come back and we're going to get right back to it. You're quick with that now.
Yeah.
Every time. I like it. Look, a lot of quarterbacks potentially on the move. Not a lot of hot topic quarterbacks potentially on the move like we've had in some years past. Obviously, the most notable is probably going to be Cousins, right? Kind of writings on the wall there, potentially. See if Harbaugh goes there. Dear God.
No,
Sorry,
I think
Justin
if, like
Jefferson.
Harbaugh doesn't seem like a rebuilder, right? Like I think if they bring in Harbaugh, that feels like we're trying to win, doesn't it?
It's going to be tough because I really feel like there's a strong pull to trade Cousins right now. I feel like that every year in Minnesota, which I think is unfair, which we'll get into. But the current free agent list of quarterbacks as of right now is Fitzpatrick, who's probably done, Cam, who looks like a fullback, Trubisky, who I would love to see get another opportunity.
He's
somewhere.
fun. He's fun.
I'd like to see him go somewhere
Yeah.
a year. Like, I mean, hey, screaming in New York, right? Let's,
Yeah, it just makes too much sense, right? To go to New York,
Yeah.
kind of like when Tannehill went into with Mariota, and they just said, okay, maybe have another capable option to push Daniel Jones if he fails.
Right. We've got Bridgewater, who we've seen enough of, I feel like, as a starter.
Please,
He's a
God,
bridge QB.
no, enough.
Yeah. Mariota, a lot of talk about Mariota
Wasn't even a
getting
pun,
another
but
shot. Gross. Dwayne Haskins is first in line and second in line to Rudolph. Right
I
now.
think he's fun. I'm not gonna lie. I want Haskins to
I'd love to see Haskins.
I'd rather see Haskins than Rudolph.
Everyone feels that way.
Like I've seen more than I need to see of Mason Rudolph. Like
Mason Rudolph is so universally hated. It's hilarious.
I'd rather Duck Hodges come back
because he sucks and he's a complete tool.
Can Kyle Bowler come out of retirement to quarterback the Steelers? Like, I think that'd be a better option for them.
Like, Juju is pretty disliked, but there's still a lot of people who are like, "What? He just dances." Everyone hates Mason Rudolph.
And apparently Juju's likely to sign again in Pittsburgh.
And
so
for the record, like I hate Juju in fantasy, but like I quite enjoy his personality.
He's a fine. He reminds me of Hines Ward.
This is what happens when I have to come from the office, Maddie. I actually put a comb through my hair. No product whatsoever. This is just
natural.
Au natural.
Yeah, we got no hats today. My hair's
sea salt spray.
We're going.
I'm hiding my receding hairline behind the podcast.
I've got a very Dawson's Creek thing happening today.
Nice.
Look. Rumored quarterbacks on the move, Carr, which I think we can actually nix this one.
Yeah.
I don't think McDaniels is letting Carr out of the building. Obviously, Cousins. This is going to depend on the Harbaugh decision. They got 1 year left on that deal. Kind of makes sense for them to ride it out.
I think Cousins stays. I think that especially if they're going the Harbaugh route, to me, I think what makes the most sense is just let's see if we put a new coach around, we change some things. Let's see if this works.
Carr put up
and then if it doesn't work, then we get rid of Cousins next year when it costs like way less to dump him. Whereas this year, I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah.
This seems crazy to me that Derek Carr put up the stats that he did. Now he was missing the passing touchdowns, rushed for 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think like he was producing and they run the ball inside the 5, to their detriment, like too much. Right. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do there. Yeah. Look, Rodgers, sorry, Billy, but you think he's back. Right.
So part of me is leaning that he's back. I think he's going to have they might just pull a Rams and fork over all the depth they have on their roster to sign Rodgers or to just keep him through another year and tag Adams. But
can they tag Adams again?
He's coming off a contract.
Oh, okay. Because apparently he wants 30 a year, which. Yikes. Matty B here, receding hairline at Dawson's Creek mentioned back to back. That's what we're here for. We're here for the good dad content. Though none of us are dads, so there's that. And then of course we have Russ potentially on the move. I think he's the most likely out of You think he's staying?
I think he's staying.
Carroll confirmed coming back. I think he's gone. Jimmy G, obviously, he's gone.
He's gone.
I think we can finally pour one out and celebrate. Salut to you, my temporary Paisan there. Salut to Jimmy G finally being gone from San Francisco.
Thank God.
I'm very glad he's gone. I would have loved to watch him win the Super Bowl.
I wanted him to
win watch the 49ers run circles. I would have loved it.
Oh my God, I wanted them to win so we could live stream the game with Jakob and just watch his face
I was more excited for the Rams winning than I've been excited for like a Colts win since
as they
8 years ago.
As they trade Trey Lance to go and get some of their picks. Trey Lance goes to Cleveland to back up Baker Mayfield.
I saw the tweet of 49ers released Jimmy G and then trade Trey Lance to get Kirk Cousins. And I was cracking up at that one.
Yeah, I was actually watching it's funny, like the 49ers have become such a like team of interest for me due to this Trey Lance thing where like I've watched every single one of their games, like start to finish. I like have gotten like immersed with their beat writers. All of a sudden, like there's a guy whose post game show I watch on YouTube now after all the games because he's mostly because he just makes fun of Jimmy G all the time. So all of a sudden, like for next year when it's Lance and he's got Ayuk and he's got Mitchell and Debo and like all these guys, like I'm just gonna fully be a 49ers fan.
And he's ruining all the receiving options.
But so I'll be fully a 49ers fan at that point. But yeah, I was watching these people comment and they're like, so like obviously we're cutting Jimmy, but do you think that they're going to go with Trey or do you think they should trade Trey and go get Aaron Rodgers or whatever? And it's like, come on, guys. Like it is so
playing mad ball out here.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I do think it was a mistake to trade all their picks if they were just going to ride out Jimmy G anyway. I don't understand the move.
I don't think it was their plan. I
don't think it was either. I just think Shanahan was too I think Shanahan was too afraid to roll out Lance early.
I think it's hard to say at this point that it wasn't the plan, right? I mean, they had ample opportunities.
No, I agree. Just the way Shanahan fought playing, it feels like Shanahan fought playing Lance. Like I feel like he fought it.
Like I can see a world where maybe Lynch was hoping Lance would get on the field earlier and Shanahan was not on the same page in that regard. But I think it would be hard to say otherwise. The only thing maybe that changes it is that Lance did get hurt after that first start, right? And so maybe if he was at full health, because Jimmy missed that first game, Lance comes in, he gets hurt against Arizona. Maybe if Lance doesn't get hurt, maybe he gets the Colts game, and then if he wins that game, maybe that's how you continue. But I mean, it's like they started 3-5, right? If they wanted to move on from Jimmy, they could have moved on at 3-5. And then, obviously you get the point later in the season where Jimmy has a sprained thumb. Lance comes in, wins the game against Houston. I mean, they certainly could have gone with Lance at that point. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I think if they were going to play Lance this year, the time to play him was week 1. Like, I think it's not like, like if you, after the Houston game, going into the LA game, like at that point, you're not really doing Lance any favors, essentially just making him go into playoff environments week after week. Like you're kind of setting him up for failure at that point. If you're going to play him, you play him at the start and you let him work out the rookie kinks. And I mean, that's why I don't like what they did is just, it'd be one thing if Jimmy was playing at a really high level, but like Jimmy Garoppolo makes major mistakes every game. He throws picks, he flings backhanders to defenders.
Yeah, but he's so handsome.
He is very handsome.
Jimmy GQ.
Like the problem is like Lance is now just in a really hard spot where he's essentially playing his rookie year next year. We saw this with Jalen Hurts, right? Where he got to play a little bit. Essentially, it's his rookie year. Like any young quarterback, Trey is going to make a ton of mistakes next year. I think he's also going to show flashes of brilliance, but he's going to make a ton of mistakes. Of course, he's his first year playing in the NFL. And this is a team that's built to win now. I mean, are they going to be able to win it next year with Lance? I'm not sure. I think you're probably going to see, even if he is everything that they drafted him to be, everything that I believe he can be, he's not going to be that immediately out of the gates. And I think to not play him this year, you've essentially pushed that process a couple more years down the road. It's a tough spot, but we'll see. I mean, we've seen Burrow, Mahomes come into their own and lead teams to the Super Bowl within just a couple of years. If Lance is a guy you trade 3 first-round picks for, that's the kind of guy you want him to be. And if he's that kind of guy, then he'll be able to overcome it. So I think everyone's going to enjoy watching him next year.
I agree. It's the same thing, right? We talk about quarterbacks that get scrutinized more than others, and they all kind of have the same traits, if you know what I mean. So, look, Matty B's question here: which quarterback would y'all like to see get a starting role that doesn't? It's kind of a two-parter because I have two different answers here. The top QB you believe truly deserves a shot. So, for me, the answer is kind of the same. If I really want to break it down, Billy's got cops flying all over.
It's not me. It's not me.
Probably going after the coach, right?
Yeah.
Talking about. But look, for me, the answer is Mitchell Trubisky, right?
Yeah, I love that one.
I think Trubisky deserves a shot. I think that he might be the most talented backup that isn't getting a shot, kind of at this point, that we really haven't seen get a second chance. I mean, he was tied to fucking Nagy, right? He showed flashes of being able to be good. He had a year to learn under Dabble, and I think that there's a chance that it only makes sense for him to go to New York, back up Daniel Jones, and then Ryan Tannehill his way into the starting job when Daniel Jones continues to do what he does, and that shit the bed. Biscuit to Pittsburgh, I don't think.
Yeah,
that's
it
gonna
doesn't
work.
make sense.
I think he's gonna follow Dabble and go there. I think Pittsburgh gets Jimmy Garoppolo and they move forward. That's the fit that I feel works best. He's kind of like Big Ben anyway. They don't really have to change anything. I think that's where he goes. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that.
DJ Moore and more.
Better than. Hey, if DJ Moore gets Debo treatment, let's go.
Yeah,
Jacob,
DJ
what do
Moore
you
and
think?
DJ Moore and McLaurin are like sitting at a bar somewhere having a drink, being like, "Man, which one of us is going to get Jimmy Garoppolo next year?" Like
DJ Moore can't not get tackled like Debo.
DJ Moore is sitting in VIP, and Terry McLaurin's where he belongs, outside waiting in line.
DJ Moore can't not get tackled.
Overhyped wide receiver that I can remember in a long time.
Yeah. Terry's good. Just get him a quarterback, man.
He's
the problem
fine.
is he's old.
He is old.
Trubisky is my answer, but I won't steal it. So I'll take a different answer. You already mentioned him in the chat. I'll talk him up. Jordan Love, man. He's gotten a raw freaking deal.
Big time.
I liked Love out of college. Hard to feel the same level of optimism now that I felt back then, but he's extremely toolsy. I mean, he's extremely mobile. He's got a super live arm. The accuracy, like I always thought that his biggest issue in college was more decision making than accuracy. And you see some of the interception totals and a lot of that. I thought he actually was able to have pretty solid ball placement and accuracy. I thought the decision making, the ability to read defenses, a lot of that stuff is pretty underdeveloped. But I mean, he's had 2 years now in the system in Green Bay to learn. I want to see him get a shot. I really do hope that with Green Bay, they drafted him. They set their whole franchise on a life-altering path when they made the decision. I think it would be a major shame if they never get to have a full year to see, where it's at.
Yeah.
I hate, essentially like I don't know how much he reads Twitter, so I don't know how much he cares about the narratives around him, but all that dude did was, work hard in college to become a quarterback in the NFL one day. And he got drafted in the first round. I'm sure it was a dream come true. He didn't ask to get drafted where Aaron Rodgers was. He didn't ask to, turn Aaron Rodgers into an angry, bitter Betty who wanted to leave the franchise and turn thousands and throngs of Packers fans against him, right? None of that was Jordan Love's fault. Right. He just wanted to play football. And, probably ended up in a situation that would have been much worse if he had just fallen to the second round and he might already be playing somewhere. So I hope he gets a shot. I hope
agree.
He kills it.
Yeah, that's a great one, actually. 100%. If he falls to another round or two, I mean, who knows? Maybe he's the starter in Houston, right? And it's not Davis Mills. Billy, who do you got? It's a small list here, so
give me Tyler Huntley. I just want to see. I want to see it happen on a real.
Okay,
I want to see a team get ready and have him actually go in.
Can they take Greg Roman with them? That would be like.
Also, it's kind of just a lame choice, but any of the third round quarterbacks from last year, I know we saw Davis Mills this year, or both Mond and Trask.
I think it's safe to say we're never going to see Kellen Mond.
Yeah, I think he had his time. Look, can we just say the Houston Texans signed Tyler Huntley and their new head football coach.
Everyone is going to
Greg
Houston
Roman.
Texans, according
Let's
to
go.
Tom.
Greg Roman and Tyler Huntley all the way there, and then we can hire a good offensive coordinator and have a
Brian
game.
Flores, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tyler Huntley, Greg Roman, they're all going to the Texans.
It's gonna be a coach
Fucking
by
Jeff
committee.
Fisher is going there.
Hey, shout out
Josh
Jeff Fisher,
McCown's
got
going to
a
be
new
a player
job,
coach.
right? US.
Josh McCown's playing quarterback over Jimmy G and Tyler Huntley.
Hey, didn't Jeff Fisher get a new job? What is it? The
David
USFL
Culley's
or
playing
something?
safety. Yeah, he's in
Jeff
like
Fisher's in the USFL.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out
That's a good.
Fisher.
That's a good spot for him because they only play, I think, 8 games. So if he keeps winning 7 every year, that's
4
actually
and
really
4.
good in the USFL.
4-4.
Poor guy, Jesus Christ. He went to a Super Bowl, guys. Shout out Mike Jones for tackling him. Look, we're almost. Yeah, buddy. Lamar did it first. Look, we got a few minutes here left. So look, I don't want to talk about what we are doing. I don't want to go through Billy's drunk, unabashedly angry rant about the Judas of college basketball, known as Chris Beard. We're not going to do that. But we
Damn.
are going to talk about Super Bowl breakdowns and predictions. I know there's another week, but next week we're going to be doing some process stuff. So we're going to make our Super Bowl predictions now before media week infects our brains, and then we're going to make one ridiculously early offseason prediction. We're going to take a quick second before we do that. When we come back, that's what we're going to get into. So sit tight, everyone. It's been a really fun show, but what makes shows even better is ridiculous statements and outrageous predictions. So that's what we're going to do. I want Super Bowl team going to win. I want score, and I want MVP. Okay, so I'm going to start with Jakob.
Rams are going to win. Been loving the Rams all year long. Love what they did in the offseason. Then they went out and grabbed my large adult son, Odell Beckham. Got Akers back playing. So I'm going to be rooting hard for them. I'm going to pick them too. I think that, the Bengals offensive line is clearly their weakness. Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald. I think that the Rams are going to be able to do some of what the Titans did, although the Rams offense is not going to let them down like the Titans offense did. So I'm going to take the Rams in this game 31-20. I think that they'll win fairly handily, actually, just with that mismatch in the trenches. So I'm going to take the Rams. MVP, it's going to be Stafford. Like I think that it's going to be a game. My prediction is that after the game ends, Stafford will get the MVP, and I will say that either Von Miller or Aaron Donald should have got the MVP because one of them is going to have like 3 sacks and a forced fumble and a fumble recovery.
Wins above replacement is so much better.
Stafford is going to have like 27 of 40 for 250 and 1 touchdown and a pick, and they're going to be like, it's the quarterback.
Be the Joe Flacco MVP game.
I can't wait for Jakob to be bald the week after the Super Bowl, because he pulled out all his hair because Cam Akers ran for 160 yards and they gave it to Stafford.
Yeah, so my prediction,
he's going to get James Whited.
Rams by 11, and the MVP should be Von Miller, who will have 2 sacks in the game. But Matthew Stafford's going to win it anyways because they love quarterbacks.
Okay, Billy, what do you got?
All right. I said this at halftime of the Bengals-Chiefs game,
He did.
and I'm saying it now. Fuck it, I'm taking the Bengals. Give me Bengals winning 27-17. I'm taking Joe Burrow as the MVP. Eli Apple's going to have 2 interceptions. We're going, baby.
I love it. I love
both of them off Cooper Kupp in coverage.
Oh my god! I am taking.
If they ever let Eli Apple anywhere near Cooper Kupp, this is done. It's a wrap.
He's fucked no matter what. Shout out to him for tweeting at Tyreek Hill and Nicole Hardman after the game. That was amazing.
I wish I had the unfounded confidence that Eli Apple does.
I know. Look, they're going to revoke my Ravens fan card here, but I'm going Bengals. But I'm going Bengals 34-31.
0.
Wow.
With
I hope that your
game
game comes true. That sounds like a blast.
game-winning field goal by rookie kicker sensation. I said this before on the Bird app a couple of weeks ago that the Bengals this year remind me of the 2013 Ravens with their rookie kicker, right? The way their defense is playing and improved, just with a more potent offense for today's game. And I think that the real Mac Daddy in the AFC is going to kick the game-winning field goal, 34-31. It sucks because I want to say Aaron Donald's the MVP still because he's going to have 9.5 sacks in this game. But I'm going to go ahead and obviously give it to Joey Burrow. But I think
the coolest man in the world.
He's so
right
dope.
now. He's 100%. Awesome. And I'm going to say the MVP should be a wide receiver, as I feel it should be a lot. But I think Chase is going to dismantle Jalen Ramsey for the Super Bowl. Ramsey gets beat on double moves and such. I think Chase is that good. I think Chase will have something like 8 catches, 167 and 2. If he does, he should be the MVP. So
Tom Brady's last touchdown was on him.
34-31. It's always about the Ravens, Barry. Never forget it. Saints suck. Enjoy Doug Peterson. 34-31 Bengals. Burrow's the MVP, right? And McPherson's going to kick the game-winning field goal. Guys, I think that's going to do it. Oh, I want one ridiculous offseason prediction. Outrageous. What's it going to be, Billy?
My go-to today has been Allen Robinson to the Eagles. Like it just makes too much sense to me.
Okay.
Like going back home to Pennsylvania, like all that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I got like a good outrageous one. I think both Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott will be off the Cowboys come week 1 next year. But that's probably my hottest one.
I can't even let myself think of that, but I mean I would be erect if we got Zeke off the Cowboys by week 1.
And he's half there just hearing about it.
I'd have a torn P something.
Oh my god!
I'd be pushing P.
Outrageous off-season predictions.
Okay, my outrageous off-season prediction is that they do not retire number 12 in Tampa Bay. Instead, they just give it to another famous number 12. Aaron Rodgers slides right into Tom Brady's seat. They re-sign Chris Godwin, and they run it all back with Aaron Rodgers leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to another dominant NFC season.
What does Tampa Bay do if Rodgers comes in and wins like 2 Super Bowls? What do they do with the number 12?
They split it. They
just put 2 names above it.
Like I feel like Rodgers is such a D-bag that literally, like, if he went to Tampa, right, and he was like, I want to sign with you guys, and then Tampa was like, yeah, but you have to pick a different number because we're going to retire 12. Like, he would just be like, no, fuck you. I'll go retire. Like, I feel like Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to New Orleans so I can beat you.
It's like what's the this is the second reference of him today. Josh Gordon going to New England with the big 12 tattooed on his back.
Oh my God. Look, my prediction's pretty simple. And I believe in it. I think the Cleveland Browns draft Carson Strong to replace him. They draft him in the second round. Second round.
Carson Strong.
Carson Strong will go to the Cleveland Browns in the second round as they do not re-sign Baker Mayfield after year 5.
Is this going to be our fight of the offseason, Billy, over Carson
Strong? Yeah,
you quarterback in the class.
You and me are going to go. We're going to go.
Corral, baby. Corral QB1 in the class.
This is not a fantasy take, by the way. Like, obviously, like, I understand that Carson Strong is literally immobile.
He's Joe Flacco.
So, like he can barely walk. Like, he's
give me Kenny Pickett.
Anyway, so this is not a fantasy take, but from a real life perspective, Carson Strong is my QB1 in the class.
Look, man, we got the same RBs, so that's what matters.
That's
Look,
true.
Speaking of rookies, obviously our rookie content is some of our fans' favorite content. You guys take it in the most. It's our most asked about segments on the shows. So with that, obviously, we're giving away a Saquon Barkley signed Penn State jersey, right?
Woo!
And I've been teasing this, and I have not announced how. This is how you do it, okay? And it's pretty simple. If you watched, or you can go back and watch our draft shows from last year, we did a consensus ranking count up of players. This year, we're doing a consensus ranking count down to our number one rookie in the class. It's pretty simple.
Carson Strong.
If you follow any one of us on the accounts, you follow the Dynasty Tilt account, myself, Thomas Tipple FF, Big Billy FF, or FF_RTDB, you need to guess who we have as the number 1 and 2 consensus fantasy football players. Okay, consensus. So it can't be Jacob's number 1 and number 2. It can't be Billy's number 1 and number 2. You have to guess the consensus, and this is going to be taken from all 5 of us: myself, Maddie, Tom Lee, Billy, and Jacob this year for the rankings.
Ooh.
You must follow us, and you must guess, comment, send us a DM, wherever. We're going to be looking through all of our social medias and all of our accounts. You must guess the consensus number 1 and number 2 picks for the countdowns for when it comes out. And your guesses have to be in by the time we hit 10. So by the time we hit 10, which will be 2 weeks into it, this will be halfway through.
9 names away from Carson Strong.
And oh my God. And we will select.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
We will select
well,
from there. If a winner is not chosen, we will go with the second best, which will be best comment made leading up to the draft. So best comment from our shows leading up to the draft. I'm going to start recording my favorite comments from each show and on Twitter. Okay, so those are going to be the 2 ways to win. Obviously, it's been a great show. Hour and 2, not bad. I told you we're going to keep it tight.
We're getting better.
Right, we got a lot.
It only took us a year and a half.
and I had to be here because Lord knows it'd be a 2-hour draft show with just you guys. And look, obviously, as I mentioned earlier in the show, go to trophysmack.com, use promo code Tipple, get yourself the free $60 ring as long as it's in your cart. Go and check out the Even Odds podcast. Seriously, I listened to the first episode that I've ever heard, which is our episode from this week. It's fantastic. It's great. They had the 2 hosts from the Ballbusters podcast. Fantastic trivia program. Go and listen. With that, I always want to remind everyone to treat everyone with respect, be kind to one another. Don't be a giant piece of human garbage. Check in with your loved ones, right? Let them know that you care about them. It's only for Billy. Fuck you. Remember,
I was going to let you keep going. I was going to keep adding fingers.
Remember that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose, and that your best days are spent tilting. Good night, everyone.
And remember to check the last name before you text your buddy Brian.
Yeah.
Take care.